with us every day on America's legendary community station, WVOX, for you and yours at 1460 on your AM dial or streaming live right now at WVOX.com. Better yet, download the WVOX app and take us with you wherever you go.
1460 WVOX.
And go.
We are on the air.
Hi, it's Fran Sisco. It's the Crisis Help Radio Show. We're getting an early start. We don't have our original theme music at the beginning. We're replacing it with another song.
We haven't written it yet, but we will.
We will.
And then you'll hear it and you'll love it.
Yeah, how many years is it, Tom? 10 years?
It's only been 10
You
years.
have many original songs. Choose one. Make it might fit
well. Well, we're going to choose one special for Crisis Help Radio Show.
With my voice.
And so we have tonight, I'm Fran Sisco. We have three co-hosts. Myself, Tom Sullivan.
And
I'm with Tom
Kelly
for
Sisco.
about 10 years. And my daughter, Kelly Sisco. So the three of us will be interviewing several people who will be calling in. All right. So our first caller, we expect two callers. Toni Homeperm and Olivia.
And I have a feeling that's not Tony's real name, but I could be wrong.
No, it's a stage name.
It's a hair thing, you know.
It's a stage name.
And in fact, I'm going to call her because when she does call in, I'm going to ask her to move over to my cell phone.
It was originally Toni Hair Permarelli. That was the original. That was the original.
Permarelli, yeah.
Tom got all the jokes.
That's a good one. And shortened it to Homeperm, and it just coincidentally fit to her style, of her hair. So Toni and Olivia organized, Toni mainly, was the host of a Long Island Transgender Day of Remembrance cabaret out in West Babylon at a church called, I believe it's Community Fellowship Church in West Babylon. And it was an amazing event. And when she and Olivia come on, they're going to talk more about that. Kelly and I performed at that event. So we'll have that for you as guests. And then also we'll have Tanya Cooper. Tanya runs the Foster Kids Unite nonprofit organization because Tanya was a foster kid. She grew up without, parents. She was in the foster care system. And there's been a lot of abuse in that system. But then there's a lot of positive stuff, too.
Yeah, I worked in foster care for 10 years, actually.
Whoa, you did? I didn't know that, Tom.
I sure did. From 83 to 93, I was a foster care social worker in Brooklyn, New York.
Wow.
Yeah.
So
you know a lot about this topic.
The perfect co-host for Tanya right tonight. And, in fact, that's Toni now calling on the phone. So I'm going to answer this. Toni, it's Fran Sisco. Hi.
Hi, Fran.
Hi. I'm great you called me on my cell instead of on the...
I called on the hotline.
You did call, because I just said to Chuck, our wonderful engineer, that when you do call in, we're going to move you over to the cell so that we leave the other lines open. So does this sound all right to you?
Sounds fine.
Okay, great.
Can you hear it on the live?
Very good. So
Can you hear it on the live?
Yeah, we can
hear it on the live. I don't know if we can hear. We're running this on Facebook Live,
also, if
by
you
the
want
way.
to see our faces and see who we are behind the words, you can watch us on Facebook.
Right, and there we are. They can't see your face, though, Kelly,
no,
because you're blocked. There you go.
Is my Facebook or your Facebook?
It's your Facebook. So
Kelly, then SISCO, look me up, and you can watch us live, and you can see our beautiful faces.
So for your people listening in, you can see the video.
Or your people can look at my page.
And you can also hear us on 1460 AM radio. And you can also check us out live on the internet at WVOX.com. So in those three places, Toni, you're here right now. And now you have a show, you had a show last night, right, with Olivia?
Yes, Olivia London and I, we have a show. It's on Facebook, Strong Island Television. It's called Diva Time, and it's currently every Monday night at 10 p.m.
Oh, that's fantastic. Now that's cable access?
We are hoping that it will be. That's the plan.
Okay. What is it now on Facebook, or how is it? What's Strong Long Island?
Strong it's an entertainment channel on Facebook. And if you go to Strong Island Television on Facebook, there's a lot of different shows. One of the biggest ones is Rudy's Room, and Rudy Brady is actually our creative director of Diva Time, and his show is now on Amazon Prime.
Wow.
It just got picked up.
Wow, that's great. So tell us.
You haven't seen it? Oh my goodness!
You know what? I've seen the show that you had that was on Facebook, right?
Yes. Well, that's my own little Facebook
live show. So I haven't shown. So yesterday, not realizing it, I'm looking all over the Facebook for your show, and looking in the wrong place, right? So
love in all the wrong places.
Yeah,
That's exactly right.
Tell us about your show and some people that may have been on recently.
Well, so far we've only had 2 episodes. We've had 2 local drag queens, one by the name of Frida Cox, and another one, Ovary Action, who is actually a non-binary drag queen, and they're both very good friends of ours. And we had last night Leo Ayala, and she's from East Side Settlement Housing in the Bronx, and she does a lot of mentoring of LGBTQ youth, helping them to get into the workplace, doing things like that.
Okay, so for some of the listeners here, I'm very familiar with LG. Hold on a second.
Too loud.
Lori, Kelly had just mentioned that the speaker was too loud on her. I had raising the wrong volume button. Many people, especially nowadays, know LGBT stands for lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, and then there's a Q at the end for either questioning or queer. But many don't know about non-binary or binary. Can you explain, Tom? Do you know what when a person is? It's not like a math term. It's not.
Yeah, I get a little confused. I get a little confused by some of this stuff. I will admit.
Okay.
Yes.
All right, because you live in a binary world. You're a man. Your wife is a woman.
I think so.
You're
Or
comfortable
something you're
in
not
that.
telling us.
And then sometimes
You know what? I frequently impress people though when I toss out words like cisgender, and people say, "What is
Wow, there you go.
So I'm very hip to all the terminology.
Okay, good.
Yes.
Well, do you know binary?
Binary, I'm a little shaky on.
Okay. Well, Tony, help us out with binary and non-binary, because what would you consider yourself? Would you consider yourself a non-binary person?
Honestly, no. I do consider myself a cisgender gay man.
Okay.
And I just happen to also be a drag queen.
Right.
So,
Okay.
but-
So you don't have any aspirations of one day living as a woman or anything like that, right?
No.
You're just comfortable with
It's
being...
too difficult. It's too hard.
If the shoes were more comfortable, would it fit?
The shoes are way more comfortable as a boy, but
There's all that shaving you have to do and stuff like that.
oh my
It's
goodness.
just,
Oh
yeah.
my
Too
goodness.
much to do.
Okay.
Too much dressing.
And of course, I have to be, before I became a drag queen, I basically I was a cub. And now it's like, I can't tell you the hours that I have to spend removing hair.
Okay. So now I'm sure Tom doesn't know, and half our listeners may not know what a cub is. Do you know, Tom, what a cub is? And we're not talking about a person from Chicago.
No, or I was a Cub Scout once, but I have a feeling that's something entirely different.
Yeah. So tell us what a cub is.
A cub is basically a gay man who's, small but extremely hairy. That's me.
As
in
a-
a nutshell.
A little too.
As opposed to a bear. A bear refers to...
Oh, yeah,
It's like
okay.
a
A little too
larger
graphic.
gay
Someone
man
who's
very hairy.
okay.
A little too
got it.
graphic.
Okay.
I think I got it.
And then, a little maybe too graphic. I don't know if it's too graphic. But anyway, it's helpful for people to understand the terminology. So on your show, you have guests mostly from the LGBT world and talking about things that relate to that or relate to drag?
Well, we're gonna not
Okay.
People that are, just in the LGBTQ community.
Okay.
The Leo who was on last night, she is, she's a cisgender heterosexual woman, but just happens to be, an ally of, the
Good,
LGBT
very good.
community.
Very good. And you're going to invite me on, right? I'd like to be on.
Yes,
And I don't fit any category, I don't think.
You don't fit any category?
Absolutely, we're actually getting together tomorrow to look at our dates, and we're gonna work something out.
Okay.
Now, where do you broadcast from? You're on Long Island. Where specifically on the island?
Well, Strong Island actually has their own music and television studios right in Massapequa.
Oh, really? Okay.
Right by the train station. Yes.
Yeah, Jerry Seinfeld says Massapequa is an Indian word. It means near the mall. That's what. That's where Jerry Seinfeld.
Most of the residents there refer to it as matzo pizza.
Yes.
Matzo pizza. Yeah, right. That's funny. What we do on this show, on this Crisis Help Radio show for many years now, is we focus on people going through crisis and people sharing ideas and strategies on how they have dealt with crisis in their life, whether it was having cancer or a flood in their house or losing a job or a business or a gender crisis or a crisis of sexuality or whatever. And so I was very impressed on Saturday night when you hosted that wonderful Long Island Transgender Day of Remembrance Cabaret, how seemed like there was so much love in the room and so much caring of one another, and that I'm sure was very, very helpful to many of the people who often would feel quite lonely in their life, perhaps because they weren't accepted by their family or their friends or whatever. So can you talk a little bit about that? Do you feel like it's one of your missions or objectives to...
Definitely. I mean, as far as being a drag queen, I always... And when I started, it was basically as a lark when I was with the Long Island Gay Men's Chorus, and I just did it like as a fundraiser, and it just... I don't know what happened, but here I am now, and it's kind of like my full-time career. But I always maintain that my reason for doing it is for wanting to help the greater LGBTQ community, to bring awareness to things, whether it be HIV and AIDS awareness, or with the Transgender Day Remembrance, which like last week was like, I even said it at the very beginning of the show that, it was a really terrible week for the transgender community last week. There was so much, violence, and quite a few transgender women that were murdered.
Really?
Was just, yeah.
Where, in this country or
yes,
abroad?
In this country.
Wow.
Yeah, I kept seeing it. It kept popping up on my feed on Facebook all last week, and I was just like, it's just terrible, But
yeah, so you spread a little love and a little cheer and a little good time, and that seems to, probably warm a part of your heart too, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I'm finding that, and not only among the LGBT community, but I'm finding, living as a trans woman, that a number of people that I meet, that I come in contact with, people that I've known for many years and new people, seem to appreciate my honesty or apparent authenticity or whatever the right word is.
Also, your fashion sense. Don't forget your fashion sense.
Of course not.
All right, Tom. You don't have to rub it in here. Look, we're on Facebook Live. Look, all right, compare me and Tom. All right. I think you should get a dress, Tom. I think maybe that
the world is not ready for
that. What size is that? I don't know. It's about a 38.
Well, we have.
We'll get him into So
Let's
really
not get in each other.
Yeah, let's get him in. Because he's already, he had a beard a few months ago.
I did,
see it now.
and so I'm transitioning to
Right.
a less hairy state.
Move your face a little to the left, Tom, just so that the audience there can see it. All right?
That's
So
really
they can-
unfair to your audience. To do
Oh, I
that.
see a lot of people dropping. No. And so do we have, is Olivia going to be calling in?
She was supposed to, but knowing Olivia, she's always like 10 minutes away.
I really.
I hit her about that all the time.
She's only 10 minutes away. So maybe she's going to be calling in when we're, I'm hoping you could, because now that this line is free, when the next person calls in, you could stay on the line. I hope you could stay on with us through the whole show, right? Okay, that's great. And then if it turns out that someone else calls on my line, my cell, I'll just put you on hold and then I'll patch you in, merge the calls, okay?
Okay.
So here's the lineup that we have for tonight, just to give you a heads up and the people out there. By the way, people listening, you could call here in the studio at 914-636-0110. It's 914-636-0110. As Kelly had mentioned, Kelly, they can get on your Facebook page at what?
Kelly Sisco was spelled Sisco, and you can watch the live video.
Great. And so just a heads up about some of the things we're going to be doing today. When Olivia calls in, you know what? Do you have anything you want to share with people in Westchester or people? Give the name of your show again, when it can be seen, and how people could contact you. Because you are an amazing performer and very warm-spirited individual. And people who want to have maybe a drag queen or a performer, and also you got a great voice, Tony. How can they contact you? What is the best way to contact you?
The best way is, they can contact me on Facebook. I have my Facebook page, Toni with an I, Homeperm, Homeperm. They could also email me at tony.homeperm@gmail.com.
That's great. Very good. And by the way, anyone listening, for any information to any of our guests, you can call me at 914-589-1013 or email me at Francis, spelled with an I, Sisco, Sisco, at AOL.com. Okay, so I want to tell you about some of these people that we're going to have on tonight. Her name is Tanya Cooper, and she should be calling in a few minutes. She runs an organization called Foster Kids Unite. Tanya has been, I think she was an orphan from very early on, and she was in foster care. And she had some great experiences and some not so great experiences. And she sought to improve that system. And so she set up a 501c3. She got funding and people on her advisory board, and she's going to it, and she's helping out a lot of children. And I'd like, and Tom will share some of his experiences when Tanya calls in.
She's on the line.
Oh, she's on the line.
Great.
Okay, so she's on the line right
Hi,
now.
Tanya.
And then we'll describe the other people later. Hi, Tanya. We were just setting up, and God, you called right on time.
Yes, hi.
Great. I want to introduce you to the people around the table here as myself and Tom Sullivan is a co-host and who you've met before because I think you were on the show
She
before.
was on twice. Yeah.
Yes.
And my daughter Kelly is here.
Okay.
And on the phone with us is Toni Homeperm, and Toni is a host of many shows and a performer, a drag queen. Lives in Long Island but performs all over. And and Kelly, the two of us sang 2 songs in her show out at a church in West Babylon for a thing called Long Island Transgender Day of Remembrance Cabaret. So anyway, Tanya, tell us what got you to set up your own nonprofit. Give us a little background on that, and what your mission is.
Okay, hi. So our mission is Foster Kids Unite Incorporated, and our mission is to provide non-traditional services to aged-out foster youth. that are in college or trade school. So pretty much, you know, a lot of our kids do come from Westchester and New York City, but we have been known to help a couple others if they're referred through court or through, you know, through a professor or somebody that we know, you know, can verify. So how I came about starting Foster Youth United Incorporated, I was a foster youth all my life pretty much, from 5 years old on. My mom, unfortunately, was a heroin addict and eventually died from her disease.
Oh, my God.
42 years old. But we stayed in foster care even before she passed. We stayed in foster care because she gave up her rights.
When you say we, you had siblings in foster care as well?
Yes, I was going to say there was 4 of us. My baby brother Mark, who I'm looking for and going to do a documentary on, I'm trying to find him. He was adopted at 3 years old because he's a redhead with freckles. And my sister and I got separated.
So when you say he was adopted because he was a redhead with freckles, because whites were more likely to be adopted than black people, is that right?
Exactly. And he was, even though his father was black, we didn't understand it. But I forgot my grandmother had that redheaded gene from the Hogan side of the family. The Irish side of the family. So it wasn't that far fetched looking back now. But because I guess you just don't think. I don't know. We always thought he came from the postman until we realized, oh, wait a minute, grandma's hair is a little bit, maybe that's possible. But anyway, so she got adopted off at 3. My sister got sent off to a group home, and then me and my brother Robert, the one who passed away 10 years ago, we got sent to different orphanages. We all got sent to different places first. Well, Mark stayed in this one same home because he was a baby.
Right.
And then there was 2 black doctors in Elmsford who adopted him. We used to go to the home.
When was he told that he was adopted? Was he told in the beginning?
That's the thing. We don't think he was. He was 3 years old the last time I saw him. I was like 7. So I mean, what 7-year-old is going to remember the exact location I used to go see my brother? I don't remember. All I remember is in Elmsford, New York, and it's 5 minutes from the Paul Bunyan statue that's at that gas station. That's all I remember. So anybody who knows Elmsford knows that area very well. I remember the house, but I just can't remember the name of the family. We used to go every weekend until he got adopted.
With all this genealogy stuff on the internet and everything, haven't you been able to? You did it. Okay.
Yeah, but here's the thing, and I mean I didn't mean to go off on a tantrum, but here's the thing. I just had 2 TV shows that we're really excited about taking my case on, and then they dropped me after 4 months and then being in my Ancestry account. So I'm hoping that he hasn't passed away and they don't want to tell me. But I'm going to also do a fundraiser and raise money for a detective, and I'm going to find him myself. Even if he's deceased, I need to know that he's okay because heart disease runs in our family.
I see.
So because my other brother, which is how I got to Foster Youth United, my other brother, Rob, he died 10 years ago of heart disease at 41 years old. And it was a big shocker because, he's the only family I knew since I can remember. And so when he died, I was devastated. And to get through that devastation, I mean, literally took me 5 years to, wake up out of the clouds. But I said, you know what? My foster mother used to say, when you're in pain, help somebody else, then you won't think about your stuff.
Right,
so
right.
I just say, you know what?
How long did you live with your foster family?
Well, I was at that one. I was at a few different ones, but the one that I was at the longest was from 7 years old to before that I was in an orphanage. 7 years old to 18, and unfortunately, I was being molested from 9 to 15. And when they found out, instead of saying what it was, I was raped.
They were molesting.
Pretty much
molested by a family member, by one of their.
It was two of my foster monster brothers. I call them. 2 of them. One died since, and the other one was 7 years in jail for molesting his 4-year-old niece. So they finally believed me after he went to jail, of course, as I was a grown woman. And it's okay because looking back in hindsight, I guess had they had said that it was rape, then all the other kids would have had to go back to the orphanage, which would have devastated all of them because they came from pretty rough backgrounds. A couple have never even been in a home setting before, and so my mom took them out just so they would know what it's like to be in a home.
Right.
So if they would have had to go back to that environment, I'm sure they would have been devastated. So I understand now, looking back, she didn't know any better. She didn't, she apologized. It's all good now.
So you went into foster care when you were 5 years old.
Yeah, actually, I found it from my aunt. I went in before that too.
Where was your father? Did you know your father?
My mother was a heroin addict. I was born a heroin baby. My father Well, this is the good thing. Since I did the ancestry, I recently found my father. But one of my birth cousins actually helped. He's a genealogist and helped me find my father in like 5 minutes. But the number that I got was disconnected. So I called all five of his kids that he has in Long Island and West. Apparently, somebody lives up here. There's an 845 number. But none of them, I keep leaving messages. None of them return my calls. The problem is, my mother was before their mother. So they might think that maybe he was cheating and they don't want to know who I am. They don't I guess they're not going to be logical and think, no, she's older than us. Clearly, this is not the same time.
And how old were you when your mother passed away?
I was 17. I was at Fosland.
Okay, so you were basically grown.
But I never got to see her. Remember, she lost her rights when I was about, I don't know, the full. I think I was up for adoption. I want to say, let me see, they got me at 7. I want to say about 10 or 11 is when they realized she's not coming back.
Yeah, because I used to work for a foster care agency for 10 years, and generally what they try to do is work with the family and provide services. And within 2 or 3 years, if it's not working out with the birth family, they usually move to terminate parental rights, and they try to get the child adopted, if possible, by the foster parent, or else move them into an adoptive home.
Yeah, this is true, but in my case, they were not trying to find anybody in my family, quite honestly, because my mother had 10 siblings, and they didn't find any of them.
10 siblings?
They knew them, but they weren't trying that hard. Trust me when I tell you, it's a very lucrative business.
Should have been able to find somebody.
Listen to me. Trust me when I tell you, I did my own research. I talked to my aunts and uncles. Some of them said that they did try, but they wouldn't give them to us, and it was all based on my mother saying no, which is crap, because, like, how are you going to take the word of her? She's on drugs, duh.
Well, once they terminate your parental rights, you're not really supposed to have any say-so at all, so I'm sorry it worked out that way.
Right, no, that's true, but it's okay, it's all, trust me, I'm very happy I grew up in foster care, because I would have never experienced. I went from Bed-Stuy to Bedford. Big difference. Yeah. I mean...
Now tell us about your daughters. Tell us about your children and how your experiences informed your being a good parent. Tell us about that.
Well, I because of my situation, I didn't have family. I just recently found some family, and I keep in touch with a couple of them. The rest don't really call, but there's several that do, and I just try to, stick to that and say, I'm happy that at least I got those people. And so I'm always what I call the lonely person in a crowded room. But I have my 2 girls, and they have been phenomenal. And my kids' fathers, both my kids' fathers, and their mom and dad has been phenomenal. So that's kind of how I made it through. I always have my own people that I adopt off, And I always say I was unofficially adopted, because I called that mom and that dad my mom and dad, because they were the only people I knew, and they raised me well. And I would not be who I am had I not been in the little town of Bedford Hills that I grew up in, and having all these great people.
I gotta tell you, Tanya, I really find that being in your presence is wonderful. That you're very considerate and loving. That there's not like any bitterness, it seems, and it's just amazing to me. And your daughters, who I met, I met.
Meet them.
What?
You met Tatiana.
Yeah.
Oh, I met
Tatiana.
I met her. Yeah.
We perform. You perform. We were on the comedy circuit together. Are you still doing stand-up comedy?
Yeah, I still am. I've been writing more. I'm trying to get I did a screenplay. It's called Reparations. I'm trying to get that.
Cool.
Reparations.
It's a comedy.
It's a comedy. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Dave Chappelle, Steve Martin, and Jim Carrey. But that's. But a side note with Foster Kids Unite, I came into this because someone helped me and the town helped me, and so I have to go back and pay it forward, Fran. And I want just a side note. I know you do the trans show. By the way, I never got to thank all of my gay friends who actually were the ones who saved my life after being sexually abused as a 9-year-old. You're traumatized, and you really kind of have no confidence.
Right.
I fell into modeling because of all my this was before it was a thing. Before all my transgender friends, when I was at FIT, picked me up and dusted me off and was like, "Girl, you are going to work."
Wow.
And that's how I got confidence in myself. and became a runway model in Paris after I aged out.
Wow, that's fantastic. You are a beautiful woman, and that's so glad to hear. And that's one of the themes of our show too, is when you reach out or when you're at least open, people give people help. And it may be God working through people, whatever it is, or people on their own, but people are wonderful, and that's so glad to hear that, Including transgender people can be wonderful. That's great.
Oh, no, they are fat. Listen to me. I tell people all the time, I tell people never judge a book by its cover, because I can tell you, even when I was homeless, it's always been my gay friends who picked me up, dusted me off, and put me,
amazing.
Took me off the shelf and said, no, Miss Thing, we are going to work. When I worked at Studio 54 for Stephen Rubel, after my modeling days, I worked for him briefly. It was all my gay friends that lived. I was very broken. I was a broken person, and no one knew it, because I'm always on a 10. Even when I'm depressed, I go down to like an 8.5.
Yes.
So you never know that I'm depressed. But I was really depressed and didn't even know it. I didn't use that word anymore. Back then, I was very depressed from that, and it took me 20 years of therapy to get where I'm at now. But I do this work to help other kids who are in foster care, other kids who have no family. Like, I had nobody. When I was at NYU, it was a Quaker lady that gave me money for books. It was a Quaker lady that gave me transportation money. It was a Quaker lady that said, you know what? Since my grandson's messing up his inheritance, I'm going to help you out. That's what I made through NYU. I would have never made it if I didn't have that extra hand.
There's good in all groups, and there's more good than we all even realize, I want to ask Toni if she has a question for you. Toni has been listening in on the other call. Toni, do you have a question for Tanya?
We're not going to get through this.
At the moment, no, it was a little difficult with this connection to hear everything.
You have Steve on the line.
So I'm straining.
I'm
straining to hear. But
I
do have to say, the one thing I did hear, I think that's great what she was saying, about her gay friends, like, helping her and supporting her and, picking her up when she was down. I mean, I'm glad to hear that.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, good. You know what we're going to do? Toni, I really appreciate you coming on. I want you to give the contact information out for Foster Kids Unite. Give it out nice and slow so people can write it down. And I'd like to work with you, and somehow maybe we could do some motivational speaking or whatever. I'm sure you're doing it already, but maybe you could join me in some work like that.
Yes, absolutely. Let's talk behind the scenes on that for sure.
So what's a good contact for you?
So if anyone wants to call, our office is 914-646-4638. Just leave your number and information. Somebody will get back to you. And our email is www.fosterkidsuniteinc, one word, @gmail.com. And our website is www.fosterkidsuniteinc.com. Did I say that right?
Yes.
.com. And you can make a donation. Just press the word donate. And that's because all of our money goes to our foster youth. No one takes a salary. We all volunteer.
Very good. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Tanya. We're going to have you back. Maybe we'll have you actually in the studio another further show, a future show.
Yes.
And Toni, thank you very much. If you could...
thank you to both of you.
Thank you so much. And Toni, if you could call in the other number so you can hear better. If you could stay on with us, but call in on the other number.
I believe we have Steve on the line. Are we right about that? Is Steve holding on?
Yeah. Okay. All right, Toni, I'm going to drop this call and then call in on the 636-0110 so you can hear better. All right. Bye. Okay.
Steve is holding.
Steve?
Hey, Franny, how are you? Steve Moscatello.
Hey, Steve, how are you?
Hi.
Good. Steve, Tom, you know Steve from last show.
I do, as a matter of fact.
Steve was Lou in the script. Yeah.
Steve is Lou.
Well, very, very nice to hear you.
Yeah, I just wanted to let you know you're doing some great work there.
Oh, thank you very
much. Fantastic work, and it's important work.
Yeah, and I know, we all do good work, and it's sometimes we don't know all the good work that each other does, and it's good to share it, For example, I didn't know until you asked me to go to be part of that evening where you made food. I expected it to be about 20, 30 people showing up to make food. Here it was.
20, 30 is a lot.
Yeah, but
it was even more?
There was about 200 people.
Oh, goodness.
And Steve made food. He was in charge, basically, I think, in charge of the kitchen. And everyone had such a phenomenal time. And then they had wonderful entertainers, including Joe, what's his name? The comedian.
You're talking about my comedy show.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I do 2 comedy shows a year for my church.
Yeah.
And it's all volunteer, and we're doing another one in October down the line. But I just want to let you know that there's a lot of people in the world that don't have a voice, or don't have an ear or anyone to listen to, and it's nice that you take your time with people that are going through things. It's funny. I just recently found out that my aunt was switched at birth.
Wow.
Was switched at birth? Whoa.
Wow.
And
How does that
the weirdest
happen?
thing in the world. I was working out.
This is who is it? Your mother's sister or your father's sister?
My father's brother's wife.
Okay.
So they got the babies mixed up at the hospital? Is that what they did?
Yeah, they did. Yeah.
Whoa.
And it's really weird how I found out. I was doing the Sopranos movie, and the guy who was driving us, we got to talking. Where are you from? Well, my family's from the Bronx. Blah blah blah. What part? Edgewater Park. What's your name? Moscatello. We're related. What? One of those.
Shoot.
And then he told me the story that my Aunt Gidget was switched at birth with another woman, and she always felt odd.
Yeah.
She never knew why.
So that was not her son.
Wow.
And then about a year ago, it had come out.
Wow.
And it's just bizarre.
Yeah, it's bizarre. I have a story. It's too long to tell now, but I'll tell it to you privately about my grandfather and his brother, who we thought was his brother, was his half brother, all his life. But anyway, Steve, that's there's someone told me about a switch story a few weeks ago, and it turns out that what happened was that it enlarged the person's life because they had a bigger family, and it was a much perhaps fuller life than they would have led if they were in the other family.
But it's a lot to come to.
Oh yeah.
You gotta see the silver lining in it, but yeah.
Once you go through that, you start questioning so much stuff.
Yeah.
Well, we've learned. We were talking about Ancestry.com a little bit ago, and people have learned so much from being on that. They've learned a lot about ethnicity and things that they never would have known about themselves. Yeah. It's opened up a lot of the world.
Another friend of mine, his children gave him a ancestry thing for Christmas, and somehow a girl reached out to him and said, "You're my father."
Oh, shoot.
And this was many, many years ago. He never knew he had a daughter, and it was before he was married, and it did not turn out so well for him because his wife, why, I don't know, but was furious. It's like, what, you didn't know I was at a party when I married you? I mean, it was kind of bizarre that she'd get mad, but yeah, it's really.
I was at a party about a year and a half. I was at this cut out right now on me.
But that's okay.
Okay.
Anyway, I just wanted to wish you well, and I know you're working on so many good projects, and you went out to Vegas and you had your film festival, and you did quite well there.
Yeah.
I'm very proud of you.
Yeah, it did well. And by the way, when I came back, the Happy Henry, but when I came back, the day I got back, the script that you read, the screenplay, won Best Screen. The Past Comes Back.
Past Comes Back, yeah.
Won Best Screenplay in an international online festival, which was a pretty big deal.
That's tremendous.
Yeah, it was. I found that, and was nominated in a couple of others. But anyway, thank you so much for calling, Steve. We're going to.
Keep up the good work,
and still, if you can, hang on and listen, or if you can't, that's okay.
Okay, what do we have next?
All right, we're going to go. What'd you say?
Steve's in rehearsal.
Steve's in rehearsal. Oh, good. All right, Steve.
Next.
Happy rehearsal.
You have Tony on the line.
Tony's on the phone.
Thank you, guys.
Okay, thank you.
Next.
Tony is on the line?
Tony. It's Tony Aversano. We're going to do that last. Tony.
Yeah, hi.
Tony, hi.
Hi, Tony.
This is my best friend, Tony Aversano, owns Fishbowl Pet. So Kelly's sitting next to me. Tom Sullivan is on the other side. And unfortunately, or fortunately, we've had a very interesting show, and we've used up a lot of time. So we only have like maybe 3 or 4 minutes together today, all right? But you and I had been talking earlier today about the effect of, because we're going to be reading this book about dinosaurs and stuff, about the effect of animals on people, especially on children. And I don't know if you were hearing that Tanya, our other guest, talking about her foster care experiences in her family and stuff. But share with me what you were telling me earlier about what you see as a store owner in Stamford, Connecticut, a Fishbowl pet store, of the bonding that happens between a child and an animal, like a dog or a fish or whatever.
Anyone.
Well, I'm so happy I could get through tonight to you, because I really feel strongly about this topic on how beneficial pets can be in children's lives. And when you think about it, the responsibility that develops and motivates the child to have, caring for a live animal, whatever it is, a fish or a dog or a chinchilla or whatever, really makes that child a better person. And, I feel that, unfortunately, today our lives are so busy that many parents look at pet ownership almost as, I just can't deal with it. It's going to be too difficult, that type of deal. And at the store, what I try to do when I meet a new customer is I try to find out from them what's the right pet, so that if you are living a very busy, crazy life, you don't have much space, maybe a beta fish is all you need to bring something alive
Fran, maybe that's
into
what
the
we
house.
need, a beta fish. I never had any pets.
Right.
A beta fish, yeah.
Get a beta fish from Tony.
The point being that they're easy. It'll take you 10 seconds a day just to look at it and drop a piece of food in it.
Right.
And then
but it builds
once a week cleaning, and before you know it, this fish bonds with you as owner.
Right.
So that when you walk past, the fish responds to you. And if you're aware of it, it can be a very interesting, loving situation.
For the both.
That's
the fish too.
That's very interesting, And children, for example,
fish too, loving for the fish itself. Loving not only for the person but for the fish.
Yeah, really. Fish feels better, probably. I don't know if there's a way to measure that happiness on an animal level, but I know dogs wag their tails and stuff like that, and experience, and cats.
Fish wag their gills.
They appreciate the impact of a human nearby, and it would make sense because a child gives so much love to, say, a doll or a toy or an object that doesn't really respond. Maybe some of them do, like Chatty Cathy or whatever the current version of that is now.
What happens? They grow.
So, so it makes sense that they can do that with that. That animals would be even more interactive, and it would further that. Yeah. So,
Absolutely.
Tony, that brings an idea. Maybe you and I should talk about this. Maybe we should do a little film, because I've got more involved in film. Do a little film of putting maybe some children in a room and show the effect that a group of dogs might have on a group of children, or something like that.
Or whatever.
Or whatever you think.
A pet. Yeah.
Yeah, whatever. Yeah, and pet. And to make that point, I'm so glad you made that
Remember,
point.
we had a woman on this show one time who brought
she
her
brought
dog
her dog
with her.
Yes.
Yeah.
And she goes into like nursing homes and
Right.
hospitals.
There was one brought her in. It was voted. This dog
dog, right?
was
Wasn't it a therapy dog?
Yeah, therapy dog. Was voted the service dog. Also, they call was voted the top service dog or therapy dog
Wasn't
in
that-
the country.
what was his name?
Right? I
Bobo?
forgot his
Bobo?
name.
No.
But the other one who called in is a friend of mine from the Imperial Court of New York, and her dog's name, Caroline Lovner. Her dog's name is Beau, Beau, and he is and I know
He's
I
very
met him
famous,
many
too.
times, and he is
He's known
award-winning.
He's known for what he does.
For what they do. But you're saying not even on that. It doesn't even have to be on that level. Just a regular animal and a regular person,
and they're loving each other.
And they could. That's great, and that's the one way to reduce stress, Tom. There's another strategy.
It certainly is, and there have been all kinds of studies showing that people's blood pressure goes down when they're petting a dog, or
Right.
certainly has.
There was a study, and we're going to then we'll end it with this. When Stevie Wonder put out his album and film called Secret Life of Plants, there were a number of studies at the time that showed the effect of behavior on not even animals, but on plants and flowers.
Talking to plants.
And they took hundreds of brine shrimp and basically genocide, took those shrimp and put them in pots of boiling water, and that the plants that were nearby registered on the equipment that they had that they were very, very upset. Like their body temperature, the plant temperature increased or whatever. And they showed that plants can even have feelings and some kind of emotion or reaction.
Of course they don't. You see when they
so of course
grow
animals
and they wilt, and
Kind of like
emotions.
that movie Avatar.
Yeah, right.
When they grow and they wilt, that's emotions that plants have.
That's right, Kelly.
And they
You're right.
perk up and they change color.
Tony, that's a great. We're gonna have you on in the studio for another show talking about the effect of animals on children. And,
Fran, if I could, before I go,
Yeah.
I just wanted to offer to your audience that if they have any questions or problems or whatever, because, after being in business for 35 years, we've seen it all. It's kind of like that insurance guy.
Absolutely.
Says, we insured that because we've seen it before. And if they give us a call at the store, they don't have to be customers. I'd be happy to help them with any questions or concerns or
Very
whatever.
good. Yeah, so let's give out your phone number and also the website.
Sure. The phone number is 203-323-4277, and our website is fishbowlpets.us.
Okay, so it's fishbowl, BOWL, pets.us. And then on Facebook, it's Fishbowl Pets,
Fishbowl Pets
Stanford. Yeah. All right, Tony, thanks very much. Thank you very much for calling in.
Have a good night.
Okay, you too.
Thank you very much.
All right,
Bye,
thank
everyone.
you. Bye.
Talking about pets, we're gonna read a book now. We're gonna read our friend Lester Blum wrote a children's story called Beyond the Swirl. Okay, we have a short time here, but
Yeah. Go.
we're going to start reading
let's go to it.
Get ready for an exhilarating adventure. Join Alex and his sister Kathy as they embark upon a flight of fantasy filled with mystery, drama, and suspense, traveling through 3 diverse time periods in the amazing prehistoric world where gigantic creatures, the dinosaurs, ruled. Stimulate your imagination and be enchanted, amazed, and touched by their escapades as they traverse this land of predators and prey and their struggle to survive as they make their way back home. Experience the adventure beyond the swirl. Fantasy or reality, you decide.
So what we're going to do, very good, Kelly. What we're going to do is this book is an amazing book, very colorful, beautifully illustrated, and it's our dear friend Lester
Let me
Blum.
show the cover to the live people.
Yeah, so you can show that up on there.
Can they see?
And so I'm going to read, I hope we can get far. I'm going to narrate. And then Tom is going to play the character Alex, who is, I think, about a 10-year-old, 11-year-old boy. And Kelly is going to play his little sister, probably about 6 or 7. Okay, so this is from page 38, so we're taking it out of the book. The book's name is Beyond the Swirl, SWIRL. You can get it on Amazon.com. Just enter in that under the search. It's now currently on Amazon, I think, on Barnes & Noble it was $22.50. It's a beautiful book. It'll make a great addition to everyone's library. And to sit down and read it with a child. And you're going to get a sample of that right now in a few pages. I'm going to start midway in the book, like around page 38. As quickly as it begun, it abruptly stopped. Alex turned his head from side to side, up and down. The entire world was different. Everything had changed. Alex could almost hear his heart pounding in his chest. Both he and Kathy were sweating profusely. Alex heard a loud cackle sound and saw the shadows of vast black wings soaring even higher into the cloudless, vibrant violet sky. Even the air seemed different. It felt more temperate, with a higher degree of humidity. They were standing in the center of a vast open prairie amid a herd of huge creatures. Alex was confused again, which seemed to be his constant state of affairs.
Kathy, I don't know where we are or how we got here, but I do know we are surrounded by Brachiosaurus. I saw a drawing of them in the nature magazine we have at school. These plant eaters are about 85 feet long, which is longer than the swimming pool at camp, and must weigh a bunch of tons. We have to be careful again.
The mere size and weight of the Brachiosaurus made them a danger to Alex and Kathy. In the distance, you could see the prairie was surrounded by a lush forest of conifer trees. The herd was lumbering in that direction. The forest offered plenty of food, and judging by the density of the plants, water for the Brachiosaurus feeding machines. They weren't home, and this world was completely different from the previous one. Without hesitation, Alex began running with Kathy in tow. They darted in and out between the tree trunk-sized legs of the Brachiosaurus. Alex was trying to get them to the shelter of the forest instead of leaving them exposed on the vast open plain to what new, unknown danger.
Look, Alex, the little one.
Kathy exclaimed as she ran towards a juvenile Brachiosaurus. The youngster stopped, cocked his head to stare at the strange creatures entering his world. Kathy got closer. She timidly reached out her hand to the lowered head. She actually touched it. His skin felt rough and very dry. The Brachiosaurus seemed as intrigued as she was. He did not move, and he allowed Kathy to stroke him. The action drew the attention of an adult, who was apparently the mother dinosaur, to the existence of Alex and Kathy, as well as prompting her ire. The Brachiosaurus, who looked to Alex to be as big as a 10-story building, came stomping at an unbelievable pace across the prairie towards them. In her wake, there was a dust storm which obscured everything. They could only see directly in front of them.
Kathy, leave the baby alone. That big one is charging us to protect him.
It was too late. The Brachiosaurus was upon them. With one fell swoop, she used her long neck to thrust her head forward, connecting with Kathy, which sent her flying through the... You could hear a bed of conifer branches snap as she landed with a soft thud several feet away from where they had been standing.
Are you okay?
Alex yelled as he ran towards her. Kathy was crying hysterically. Being projected into the air frightened her more than anything else. The flight and landing did not hurt her other than some potential bumps, which might lead to some colorful bruises.
Kathy, stop crying. You're fine. It was not even as scary as the roller coaster ride in Coney Island.
As quickly as the tear faucet was turned on, it shut off. Kathy was just stunned. In the meantime, the juvenile Brachiosaurus rushed in an uncoordinated gait from the opposite direction to which Kathy was lying on the ground. He reached Kathy before Alex did and began licking her tears her legs and arms in a playful, friendly manner.
Yuck, he's slobbering all over me. He has doggy breath. Gross.
When Alex bent down to check her for any cuts and bruises, the Bronchiosaurus used his weight to push him away, as if he were protecting Kathy. As the attacking mother gradually approached, she lowered her head to sniff Alex as she passed him. When she got to her child and Kathy, she knelt on her front legs like they had seen elephants do in the zoo. First, she nuzzled the juvenile before licking Kathy's face. Was she apologizing to Kathy for knocking her halfway across the savannah?
It's okay, I'm not hurt.
Kathy told the mother as she struggled to get up. As if she understood, the mother Bronchiosaurus allowed Kathy to take hold of her neck for support as she lifted herself off the ground. Alex went to Kathy unimpeded by the dinosaurs. She was shaken with a purplish bruise beginning to form on her leg, but otherwise she was okay. The juvenile rubbed his front shoulder first against Kathy and then, surprisingly, Alex. It appeared as if they were being accepted by both the Bronchiosaurus. Kathy hugged the juvenile as if he were her favorite stuffed animal, Floppy, the rabbit which she carried around constantly at home. What a wonderful story.
That's a clip from Beyond the Swirl.
Yeah,
we made it through to finish it.
Four pages of Beyond.
30 seconds.
We have 30 seconds left. Go ahead.
Where can people find this?
Beyond the Swirl. It's a beautiful book, illustrated. It's on Amazon.com.
Written by Lester Blum.
And BarnesandNoble.com or BN.com. Glad to be here. Crisis Help Radio Show.
Love everyone.
Thanks, Tom.
Love
Thanks,
your
Kelly.
friends. Love
I'm
your
Fran
neighbors.
Sisco.
Good night, everybody.
Love
See
everyone.
you next time.